Donald Trump is liberating America. Again.
This is Liberation Day in DC, and we're going to take our capital back. We're taking it back.
First, Liberation Day was with the tariffs, and now Donald Trump is promising to make our capital great again by making what he called crime, savagery, filth, and scum disappear. With Trump holding what he called the press conference on crime and beautification today, and we'll start with crime.
Our capital city has been overtaken by violent gangs and bloodthirsty criminals, roving mobs of wild youth, drugged out maniacs and homeless people. And we're not going to let it happen anymore. We're not going to take it. Today, we're formally declaring a public safety emergency. This is an emergency. This is a tragic emergency. Under the authorities vested in me as the President of the United States, I'm officially invoking Section 740 of the District of Columbia Home Rule Act. You know what that is? And placing the DC Metropolitan Police Department under direct federal control.
And so you had Trump announcing that Attorney General Pam Bondi, who still hasn't released the Epstein files, assuming command of the Metro Police. And the Defense Department, they'll activate some 800 National Guard personnel who will deploy to the streets of DC, which notably is something that Trump has more authority to do since, unlike the state of California, the District of Columbia doesn't control its own National Guard. Also on top of that, Trump reportedly plans to temporarily reassign some 120 FBI agents to nighttime patrol duties in DC. And as for both the National Guard and FBI in general, it's currently unclear exactly what they'll be doing. And that in part because over the weekend, you had sources telling reporters that they probably won't have arrest authorities. Instead, it would be this show of force, and they'd support local police doing stuff like driving around the city and running license plates for stolen vehicles and warrants. But then today, Trump said,
they'll immediately begin massive enforcement operations targeting known gangs, drug dealers, and criminal networks.
And this notably comes after the weekend when Trump reportedly sent up to 450 federal agents to DC already. But with Trump's latest move, you had him arguing,
we will bring in the military if needed. People say, oh, that's so terrible. He's going to bring in, it's been used many times over the years.
And you have critics arguing that using the military for domestic law enforcement is illegal, but Trump already deployed Marines to LA, and he's shown himself willing to ignore the courts on many occasions. And with all that said, before we get ahead of ourselves, as far as, what started this whole DC subplot, obviously you have people saying that he's doing anything and everything to distract from Jeffrey Epstein. But also, there was an attempted carjacking and assault of a former Doge staffer known as Big Balls last week. And since then, Trump and his allies have turned this into a story about the supposedly out-of-control crime that's plaguing DC and other democratic cities.
Murders in 2023 reached the highest rate probably ever. They say 25 years, but they don't know what that means because it just goes back 25 years.
But it's actually very telling that he picked 2023 there. Because crime, it definitely was especially bad that year, but it's also come down significantly since then. In fact, violent crimes in 2024 reportedly hit a 30-year low, and it's still dropping, reportedly down 26% this year from the same period last year, as property crime's also down 5%, and overall crime, that's down 7%. And so then, what's Donald Trump's response to that data? Fake news.
We don't want to show the real numbers. Let me do numbers so it looks like it's going down. Not going down.
And in fact, Trump claimed that DC is literally the #1 murder capital of the world.
41 per 100,000. #1 that we can find anywhere in the world. Baghdad we doubled up on Baghdad. Panama City, Brasilia, San Jose, Costa Rica, Bogota, Colombia, heavy drugs. Mexico City, I mentioned, Lima, Peru, all double and triple.
But again, that's just not true. DC's homicide rate last year was actually 27.3 per 100,000 people, which is far lower than the world's 10 most dangerous cities, according to an analysis. The thing is, it's not just DC. Crime's been falling all over the country. You've got reports saying that homicides nationwide are down 30%. But that said, of course, crime was only one half of the equation. There's also the beauty. And I guess channeling his inner Wordsworth, Trump delivered this miracle of grammar.
So we have the most beautiful, potentially capital in the world. We always had.
And so like the real estate developer that he is, he wants to make that potential a reality, and he's got lots of ideas.
We're going to clean up the trash and the graffiti and the grime and the dirt and the broken marble panels. We're going to replace the medians that are falling down all over the roads. We're going to replace the potholes. We're going to put a nice new coat of asphalt over the top.
But those things, notably, are not the only way that he's planning to clean up the city, because he also wants to push out the homeless.
We're moving the encampments away, trying to take care of people, getting rid of the people from underpasses and public spaces from all over the city. There are many places that they can go.
Right, with that being an addition to yesterday where he truths the homeless have to move out immediately. We will give you places to stay, but far from the capital. The criminals, you don't have to move out. We're going to put you in jail where you belong. It's all going to happen very fast, just like the border. Now with that, as far as the numbers, DC has a total population of about 700,000, and a local org told Reuters that nearly 3,800 people are homeless on any given night. Right, and most of them, they stay in public housing or emergency shelters, though 800 are considered to be on the street. So it's currently unclear where Trump intends to put those people, and it's also unclear what he meant by this vague comment about getting rid of the slums.
I know it's not politically correct. You'll say, oh, so terrible. No, we're getting rid of the slums where they live.
And as far as what else he might do with federal command over the Capitol, we're gonna have to wait to see, though we did get some hints today. And that because he talked about at least 3 things that, according to him, are responsible for the condition of DC and other Democrat-run cities.
This whole thing with cashless bail is a disaster. This city will no longer be a sanctuary for illegal alien criminals. You also have people that shouldn't be there. They got in there because of woke.
Right, and so seemingly, if that's his diagnosis, his cure would be to bring back cash bail, enforce immigration laws, and quash whatever wokeness he thinks has infected the DC Metro PD. Right, and then you had Trump going on this tough on crime rant, but it also ended with trans people.
See, they fight back until you knock the hell out of them, because it's the only language they understand. And then they start spitting in their face. And I said, you tell them, you spit and we hit. And they can hit real hard. And they're told, don't do anything under any search. So and you can see they want to get at it. The Democrats are weak on crime because they have no idea what they're doing. That's why they want men playing in women's sports. That's why they want transgender for everybody transgender.
And all of this is, in his press conference, Trump didn't just go after DC, he gave a warning to other major cities.
But then I'm going to look at New York. In a little while, let's do this. Let's do this together. And if we need to, we're going to do the same thing in Chicago, which is a disaster. We have a mayor there who's totally incompetent. And I look at LA, but hopefully LA is watching. That mayor also.
Now, in response to all this, you had the Democratic Mayors Association putting out a statement saying if Trump actually cared about reducing crime, he would have made unprecedented cuts to public safety programs that actually work, saying if Trump actually cared about our communities, he would be working with our cities, not against them. But the truth is, Trump doesn't care. He only wants to create yet another political charade to serve his own interests and distract Americans from his failures. With DC Mayor Bowser saying in her own press conference this afternoon,
we know that access to our democracy is tenuous. That is why you have heard me and many Washingtonians before me advocate for full statehood for the District of Columbia. We are American citizens. Our families go to war. We pay taxes and we uphold the responsibilities of citizenship. And while this action today is unsettling and unprecedented, I can't say that given some of the rhetoric of the past, that we're totally surprised. If people are concerned about the president being able to move the National Guard into our city, the time to do that would have been when the Congress had a bill that it could have given control of the DC National Guard to DC.
And notably, she's been relatively deferential to Trump so far during his second term. During his first term, she was much more defiant with her painting Black Lives Matter on a street in front of the White House during the 2020 protests, for example. Whereas in March of this year, she ordered the Black Lives Matter Plaza mural removed after Republicans threatened to withhold federal funding. And as recently as last week, she actually expressed her eagerness to work with federal authorities on reducing crime in the district, though at the same time denying Trump's claims that crime was out of control. And with all that, you had a source telling CNN that Bowser sees a little upside in creating rifts with agencies by opposing Trump's deployment of federal officers. So in the meantime, it's far from obvious that the residents of DC are as welcoming of federal intervention. For example, a survey from last April, early May, finding that 71% felt that Trump was getting too involved in local DC issues, while just 11% said he wasn't getting involved enough. And so for now, while things are looking pretty heated in the Capitol, and we're going to have to keep our eyes on this, whether you live there or not, I'd really love to know your thoughts and reactions to this news, especially as you have Trump trying to make it pretty clear that while DC may be used to make an example, it would not be limited to DC in the future.